I'm Tammy from the Unipro Consulting Limited, sending love to all our listeners in the different parts of the world. Today's another episode of our weekly podcast together with Ree to share some insightful things about Singapore or doing business in Singapore. Hi Ray, how are you?
Hi, Tammy. I'm good, and I hope everyone is doing great these days. The weather is also unpredictable. Sometimes it rains, and most of the time it's hot. So don't forget to hydrate yourself with water.
I know, especially here in the Philippines, weather changes without warning, so it's important to stay hydrated and eat healthy foods.
Yeah, taking care of one's health is very important. As the saying goes, health is wealth.
I totally agree with you. Especially right now that there is COVID, making your immune system stronger can fight the virus, like taking vitamin C or D3.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe take fruits and vegetables that give you vitamins it needs.
Yeah, that's a must for everyone.
So anyway, we're going to talk about Singapore's economy and why do business in Singapore. Well, why choose Singapore? Besides doing business in Hong Kong, Singapore is a great place to do business as well.
Yeah, as for those people who don't know, Singapore is a small country with around 5.8 million and it is located in Southeast Asia. There are different ethnic groups of people living in this country, such as Chinese, Malays, and Indians, but actually there are a lot more people migrating to the country as this is one of the best country in Southeast Asia. And that is the reason doing business here is a great opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, in addition to what you said, Singapore has the largest port in Southeast Asia and one of the busiest in the world. And did you know that since 1960, Singapore has experienced remarkable economic growth and diversification?
Yeah, and actually, Singapore has developed powerful financial and industrial sectors. They have the most advanced technology in Southeast Asia and are often mentioned along with rapidly industrializing countries in Asia.
And of course, speaking of the economy, Singapore has always been different from those of the other Southeast Asian countries in that it never has been primarily dependent on the production and export of commodities.
Yes, Singaporean's government has been supervising the economic development closely, and it has been highly dependent on investment capital from foreign multinational corporations.
Yeah, that's why doing business in Singapore is a great idea. Because there is a strong infrastructure, their government has attempted to enhance the value and productivity of labor in order to attract investments and boost export competitiveness.
Yes, what's great about Singapore is they actually have been accompanied by a strong commitment to education and health. Yeah. But for the labor shortages and rising wages, it heightened the push for restructuring the economy even more toward higher valued added production.
Let's talk about their resources, agriculture, and fisheries. Since we all know that Singapore is not that big, they have a few natural resources, and there are no natural forests remaining on the island. Only a tiny fraction of the land area is classified as agriculture, and production contributes a negligible amount to the overall economy.
Yes. And to add to that, cultivation is intensive, with vegetables and fruits grown and poultry raised for local consumption. The local fishing industry supplies only a portion of the total fresh fish requirement. Most of the comes from the offshore fishing vessels. Yeah. There are also a small aquaculture industry.
So did you know that Singapore is a major exporter of both orchid and aquarium fish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are.
How cool is that?
Right, I know it.
So, anyway, since 1960, Singapore has pursued a general policy of exported oriented industrialization.
Yes, and to attract foreign investments, their economy was liberalized, and a series of incentives were provided to multinational corporations. Among them, like the establishment of a free trade zone.
Free trade zones? What is that?
Yeah, you heard it right. There are free trade zones, or also called as foreign trade zone, or formerly called trade free procs. It means where an area within which goods will may be landed, handled, manufactured, or reconfigured and re-exported without the intervention of the customs authorities.
Well, that's great for business owners who would like to do business in Singapore, right?
Yeah, that would probably be one of the most important things you have to check when doing business in Singapore.
Well, okay. Hearing all the good things about Singapore, is there any disadvantages when doing business there?
Oh, yeah, you know what? That's a good question because we know how a great country Singapore is. And all the advantages like a stable political environment they have, offering investor a strong sense of security and comfort, world-class education system, quality healthcare providers, and of course an ideal place to raise a family. Disadvantages of doing business there wouldn't cross our mind, but of course there are.
You are right. The disadvantages of doing business never crossed my mind. But there are challenges, of course, and I know starting a business there is relatively easy. But keeping up with regulatory compliance is a common pitfall for many new businesses, particularly when they are not local.
Also, every company in Singapore is required to have at least one director who resides in the country. We call it local director. So opening a corporate bank account for the non-local has a much stricter compliance.
What about paying taxes?
For paying tax, companies will need to register for a corp pass or Sing pass in order to handle their tax.
Oh, okay. Okay. Of course, for those who want to obtain work passes, non nationals who wish to reside and work there need a valid working pass to do so.
Let me also add that the cost of opening and running a business in Singapore is relatively higher than other Southeast Asian countries because strong Singapore currency makes paying employees locally more expensive. Limited supplies mean that rental costs for office or retail space are maybe twice as high as in neighboring countries.
Yes, and for cross borders trading, they are the global trading center and is one of the most competitive regions in the world for trading across borders. When it comes to cost, however, it is important to note that certain goods are restricted from being imported in Singapore and require approval or a special license from the relevant government agencies.
Yes, and when you weigh, when you compare the pros and cons, pros are heavier than cons. So it's actually a good choice to do business there.
Actually, if you have any questions regarding setting up a company in Singapore or if you're planning to do some business in Singapore, you can message us on our website or social media accounts found at the end of this clip. I would also like to add that to add that they you have check how they handled this pandemic and see how their economy was affected by this adversity and think whether to start your business in Singapore or not because actually their economy is still great. Your business, your choice.
Yeah, that's right. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone.